Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
We're fighting two things right now. We're fighting the virus, and we're fighting fear and panic. The fear and the panic is actually a worse problem, in my opinion, than the virus right now. We know what we have to do on the virus. It's going to be hard, it's going to be disruptive, but we know what we have to do there. The fear and the panic can actually get out of control more than the virus can.
Governor Cuomo. That's the reality of it. In a world of unknown, what scares us the most? The unknown. What's going on? We're terrified because we don't know. We're terrified for 1,000 different reasons. Could I catch it? Could I pass it on? Will you die? Won't you die? Is this going to destroy America? Am I going to have a job? Is my business going to be here? We're living in the world of we don't know, and there's a holding pattern, and we don't do well with that, right? We don't do well with that. It's like, do you remember when you were a kid and your mom would say, wait till your dad gets home, right? Or when my mom finds out about this, and you go over every single scenario, and all of it's bad, right? All of it's the worst thing ever. When so-and-so finds out about this, when my work, and that's the worst place to be. Last night I was trying to comfort my little brother. He's 21. And he's very worried about my other little brother, Spencer. For those of you guys who are new to the show, God bless you for paying attention. But I have a little brother named Spencer. He's my nephew, actually, that my mother's adopted. And he's an amazing kid, but he was born with brain damage, cerebral palsy. He was not supposed to live through the night, let alone to live to be 15 and thrive. He'll never walk or talk. Happiest little kid in the world, but he has a trach and a G-tube. And there's always a worry about him in regular situations, most people think. My mother doesn't feel that way. My mother's like, you know what? His immunity's strong. He's strong. The doctor told her 2 weeks ago, look, he's as strong as anybody else out there. But yes, he has a trach, so you have to be a little bit more careful. And he's terrified, for him. But he's also terrified for himself because he's deluged on a daily basis with news, right? I don't know how many of you in the last 24 hours have seen any part of like what's going on in Italy, right? You watch what's happening in Italy. Italy's got this many cases. This many people have died. And you think to yourself, oh my God, that's coming here. And they're at like 20% and this, that, and the other. They're at 10%. It's actually starting to move down a little bit less as they've tested more and more people. Everybody needs to relax, right? 48% of people who've died in Italy had 3 life-threatening underlying illnesses. 25% had 2 underlying illnesses. 24% or so had at least one. Average age was 70.5%. The average person in Italy who gets this even now, 99.2% survival rate. Fear sells, and I told him that last night. Fear sells. Even when you're a salesman and you're selling something, fear of missing out is huge, right? The fear of loss is huge. Fear sells. We need to be diligent, but we don't need to be stupid. I don't know if we're going to look back in 6 weeks from now and said, wow, did we overreact? Did we overreact? But I'm telling you guys now, you cannot allow fear to run your life because that is not going to be good for anybody. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. You can text the program as well. I love hearing from each and every single one of you. Trump doing all that he can. And I will have to say over the last 7 days or so, Trump has been far more presidential and leader-like in the combating this. It's funny, yesterday he talked about himself being a wartime president because it's a battle that we're going on right now and it's a wartime thing. Everybody laughed at it. Merkel came out last night and she says the exact same thing, that this is a wartime effort, that we need to take this on and battle this. This is the mentality that we have to have. And I think some of that is absolutely correct. right? This is the way that we have to look at this.
We're asking every American to make major changes to reduce social interactions over the next 2 weeks. As we all know, we must make shared sacrifices, and that's what we're doing as a country.
Yeah. Shared sacrifices. Altruistic, right? Altruistic is what they're looking for. That's what all of us have to do. But I asked the question to you and to everybody out there. You know, they passed the bill yesterday. What does it mean? What's inside of it? Where people are going, where's the checks? And the biggest thing that came out of yesterday, and I've said this, and I'll continue to say this, is people want to know, hey, just out of curiosity, you're stopping us down. We're not going to be able to work potentially. What about being evicted? What about all of those things? And that's the most important thing that came out of yesterday and will continue to come out as they continue to reshape all of these things was this.
The Department of Housing and Urban Development is providing immediate relief to renters and homeowners by suspending all foreclosures and evictions until the end of April.
Yeah, till the end of April. Well, why? We'll have a better handle on all of this stuff. We'll be looking at this in a much different way. As you've seen, day to day, it's a fluid situation. But everybody needs to, at some point in time, relax and realize that, look, we're coming together, right? We're starting to move in a direction. We're starting to say, okay, where do we go from here? What do we need to do as a country, right? Well, we need to do this. Fantastic. How are we going to be helped? Okay, you guys are willing to do that. Great. That you're willing to do that. Fantastic. But we also need to figure out, how do we fight this thing in a long-term way? And I'm going to say something, and it's not going to be exciting for a lot of people. At some point in time, Americans are going to go, all right, I've had enough, and we're going to snap. And we're going to have to live our life. At some point in time, we have to say to ourselves, 99.2% of us are going to survive. The best way for us to combat this, maybe just taking it head on. Saying, hey, people over a certain age or people with underlying illnesses are going to have to be not separated, but they're going to have to quarantine themselves. And everybody else who's healthy and able-bodied need to face this straight on. And some of you may get sick, and any of us may get sick, and we may see some other people who get sick and potentially die. But when we have a herd mentality and we have a herd kind of immunity because we've built up that helps everything in a situation like this. Because too often right now we're waiting around for the government and everybody else to save us. I think at some point in time, you have to face the fact that they're talking about this thing being seasonal. 18 months. Let me ask you, could you go 18 months? And by that, I mean, fine for 3 months. It's happened again. Everybody shut everything down. Fine for 6 months. Oh, it's seasonal. Now we have to shut everything down for 3 months. I don't think we could go through that. So do we take this thing head on? Right? Testing's been abysmal. Well, we're testing the wrong people. Why are we testing the wrong people, Chad? People are sick. We know you're sick. You may have the flu. You may have this. So this is what we can offer you. But here's the thing. The people that are supposed to be spreading this are a younger generation or a healthier generation who are out, still working, still trying to do certain things. Those people are the ones who should be getting tested. Why? Because they're the ones who are out and about. It's an ugly situation, but the reality is we're going to start having to look at this in a way where we say to ourselves, is the cure worse than the disease? If we bankrupt our nation, we saddle a younger generation and the working generation now who still have 20 or 30 years left with a situation where they're never going to be able to climb out of this, is that going to be worth it? It's a horrible thought, but the reality of what it is. And what's the media's role? Because I certainly think there's that. Let me ask you guys this, too. What happens if, and again, I would love this, if 3 months from now, this thing is far less worse than H1N1, because H1N1 was a pandemic. So, but it was far less worse than this. And eventually it dissipates and or kind of disappears, hangs out. You find cases here and there, just like you do with H1N1 and some other things. Those things happen. What's the media? What's the backlash in the media for the hysteria? That's very real. Because there is going to be something that comes along that we should pay attention to. But we might get in that kind of like bunker mentality that people have when it comes to things like, oh, the hurricane's coming. And people are like, yeah, I'm not evacuating. I've done this 1,000 times. And then eventually one does. I always say, it's the boy who cries wolf. But I say, have you ever listened to the story? Of course I have. What happens in the end? A wolf does show up. We already have issues with mistrust in the media. There's a lot into this. But the negativities and the depression, I've got to look at life and say, we're going to have to live our lives. And yeah, there's going to be some tough days. But at some point in time, we have to take the bull by the horns. And we're either going to meet it head on or we're going to wait the government to rescue us. And hope and pray that somebody there finds something. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. Lightstream, many of you out there are trying to figure out what to do. You're looking at your credit cards. You're like, oh, my God, I got to get out from some of this. Lightstream is here to help. Lightstream's incredible, right? My friends over there, do you know what the average interest rate is for a credit card at this moment in time? It's like 20%, right? Nationwide. Lightstream gets you away from all that stuff. It's so easy to lower your interest rate and save with a Lightstream credit card consolidation loan. You can get rates as low as 5.95% APR with auto pay. $5,000 to $100,000, right? You got good credit, but you're sitting there going, man, I've done everything right, but I'm still paying ridiculous. Yeah, get away from that. There's no fees. You can even get your money as early as the same day you apply. And just for being my listener, a special interest rate discount. Go to lightstream.com/Benson. That's lightstream.com/Benson. To save. Subject to credit approval. Rate includes 0.50% auto pay discount. Terms and conditions apply. Offer subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/Benson for more information. Chad Benson Show.
Warning, no snowflake zone. Uninformed opinions are in danger of melting. The Chad Benson Show.
That exhilaration your kids may feel from being out of school could soon turn to boredom.
Kids love schedules.
Dana Steele, creator of Your Daily Success Tip.
You need to sit down with them at whatever age they are and let them participate and say, okay, we're going to create a schedule.
Then stick to it.
This is what time we're going to get up. This is what time we're going to eat. We're all going to get dressed like we were going to school.
Steele says it works for kids from preschool age through high school.
Yeah, my son, actually, he's loving this for a different reason. And oddly enough, his mom and I talked about it yesterday. He's excelling at homeschool. So it's real school. I mean, very blessed that he's in a school where, you know, they online learning was easily, you know, able to be transformed from in class to online. And so Jack is excelling at this. And to the point where so they have to Skype and they're FaceTiming all day, him and his friends. The teachers come up and they do the class stuff and then they're all doing stuff together. And it's really interesting to watch him. But his mom said last night, he's so like he and two or three of his really good friends have moved so fast that they're already through like what would be a month's worth of work in about 6 days. And the teachers have been like, wow, we can't believe this. And there's not a lot of craziness, right? Because that's a lot, you know, you would think. Because I think everybody's going through it, right? Like when you're homeschooled, like when I was somewhat homeschooled, you know, back then they called it independent studies because I was training so much to play soccer. So I would do my work, you know, 2-3 hours a day, and then I would train all day. And I'm 16, 17 years old. Nowadays, there's a lot more of that. Right, because when I was a kid, there was a lot of kids who were homeschooled were kind of weird. I'm not gonna lie to you. You know, it's like, oh, they're, you know, some like religious fanatics or who knows what. But I did independent studies where I would go in maybe for an hour a day, get the stuff, pass my stuff in, and then, I go off and I train and I do my stuff at my pace. And, sometimes I get further ahead and, sometimes being that person, you fall further behind. But they're all going through it. So it's kind of unique to watch. And then and this is something we didn't have as kids. She goes, they'll all take an hour and they'll all stop down and they'll meet on the playground. What do you mean the playground? The playground of Fortnite, the playground of video games. And they'll play there and they'll have a laugh just like they're going through all that stuff. And then they go right back to work. And then at night they meet up again and they've got all this. It's crazy. But he's fortunate. There's a lot of people out there that aren't. Parents are going crazy, though. Like, my mom's the exact opposite. She's like, Chad, how serious is these kids are driving me crazy? Because I'm going to go pick up my little brothers, two of my little brothers. They're going to come out and stay with me to give my mother and my aunt a break. They come stay with me, and, I'm kind of in a rural area, so they can run free, and not have to worry about anything. And I'm getting a trampoline so they can bounce around on it and do some stuff and get their wiggles out. So they're fortunate to have that, and they can't have video games because they're insane and they're too competitive. So my mother, we're not allowed to play board games. So for some, like my mom, it's totally different because they're very active and you can't go outside. I mean, that's the thing. I couldn't imagine that as a kid. They're telling you can go out back. What if you don't have an out back? I don't know what you do. Oh, my God. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. Got a poll question up today. Is this an overreaction? Are we overreacting to this? Or are we spot on? Right? Or is it, is this not even close to being an overreaction? 57% of you say this is an overreaction. You think that. 25% say no, it's not an overreaction. And about 18% say it's about right. What do you say? Text the program. You can tweet at us as well, Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Unplugging from a screen or any news reports is really important. Meditation has been shown to help sleep massively, and getting a little bit of physical activity, even if it's just 20 minutes, is really, really important.
Dr. Ashton right there. And I'm telling you guys, physical activity is great. You can work out in your house. Look, as we talk about workout, we're not all quarantined, right? Going for a walk around the block, you're going to be fine. Going for a run, you're going to be fine. You're going to work today. You don't have a gym, you want to do something, go for a jog. The endorphins kick in. It can't be all negative. And we get so many people who call into the station here, right? I don't take a ton of phone calls, never been my thing, right? That's not what I do. I get a lot of tweets, I get a lot of text messages. That's how I prefer to do it because you don't have to wait on hold. And because we move so fast through so many things. But I was talking yesterday to the lady at the front desk, Patty, great lady, nice lady. We have normally 120 people in the building. We're not allowed to have over 20 right now. And she's one of them. And she says, people are calling in and they're worried and they're terrified. And especially an older generation who's maybe not web savvy, but they're sitting around watching TV all day and they're inundated by Sanjay Gupta and everybody else. Oh, the world's coming to an end. Pretend as everybody's got it. And you need to unplug, man. Go for a walk. Go for a run. Right? Do something rather than stew. Right? And it's hard because during 9/11 and other crises, what have we always had? We've had an outlet. What's the outlet? Sports, movies, concerts, comedy. We've had outlets that we were able to go to. We don't have that now. We don't. All we get all day long is negative news. Not everything's negative, people. In fact, some things are positive. Right? How about this? U.S. researchers delivered the first COVID vaccine to volunteers. We'll talk about that in a minute. Distilleries across the countries are all figuring out how to make hand sanitizers. And yesterday with what Trump did, basically giving us wartime powers when it comes to going to business, right? Going to businesses and saying, hey, you guys, we may need your materials. We may need your manufacturing. Understand that, right? That's awesome. Air pollution, right? Is this changing the way we live? Have you seen China and the air pollution? What's happening over there? Same thing in Italy. They're talking about this is how fast the earth repairs itself. And this is very interesting. Waterways and canals of Venice are cleaner than they've ever been. Crystal clear. That's interesting. Antibodies already discovered. New infections are down in North Korea, China. In fact, more people are coming out of it than going into it. It's Uber Eats came out this week and said, look, we'll deliver food to 100,000 restaurants by waiving delivery fees. There's positive stuff out there. And then let's talk about the fact that 9 months from now, we're going to have how many babies? Dr. Oz said that, you're home, might get on each other's nerves, but there's other things that you can do. So let's just take a deep breath, right? Because I think we need to remind ourselves that we're going to get through this and we're going to bounce back. And Trump's right about that. But we need some positive stuff too, right? I tell everybody, go online. Don't go down a rabbit hole of this, and this. First of all, information breaks so fast that the information you have right this second is going to be completely wrong, right? Or it's going to be contradicted by somebody over here. Nobody presents the same way. 80% of people are asymptomatic. That much we do know. But, is this thing going to peter out come June and July? Because what they're showing and more now is humidity and hot weather are crushing this thing in a lot of places. It's a possibility, right? I live in Arizona. Like, normally we'd be like, oh, my God, it's going to be 110. Now we're like, I hope it's 110 tomorrow. We'll get out of this. Look for the positive. Unemployment, ugly? Absolutely it is right now. Getting worse? Oh, yeah, you betcha. And it's going to get worse. But then there's opportunities.
Kroger says with the coronavirus business boom and many people out of work, it's hiring 10,000 additional workers across their retail stores, manufacturing plants, and distribution centers. And the grocery chain will pay any part-time and full-time employees for 14 days who are forced to quarantine at home or have been diagnosed with coronavirus. Kroger says its average wage is $15 an hour, not counting a comprehensive benefits package.
Yeah, that's great, right? 100,000 people. If you're a truck driver right now, you're doing all you can to try to keep up with demand. I mean, it's so there are opportunities out there for people who are frustrated and struggling. And look, we're all in it together, right? Except for some people, right? Some people aren't as in it together as the rest of us.
If I get corona, I get corona. At the end of the day, I'm not going to let it stop me from partying. We've been waiting for Miami spring break for a while, about 2 months. We're just out here having a good time. Whatever happens, happens.
Like, it's really messing up with my spring break. What is there to do here other than go to the bars or the beach, and they're closing all of it? I think they're blowing it way out of proportion.
We need a refund. This virus ain't that serious. More serious things out there like hunger and poverty, and we need to address that.
Yeah, I mean, we planned this a long time ago. I just turned 21 this year, so I'm here to party, so it's kind of disappointing. But we're just making the most of it, trying to get drunk before everything closes.
We're just living for the moment. We're just going to do what happens when it happens. When stuff closes, we're going to do it when it closes. But besides that, we're just trying to have the best trip we can.
Yeah. People are like, I can't believe those kids are doing that. Now, the governor has come out and he's shut down everything now after seeing that, freaking out. Oh, my God, I can't believe that happened. Well, when you were 21, right, you thought you were bulletproof, too. People are like, they're so stupid. They're destroying everything. They're not listening. Nobody listens at 21. And the reason my brother, who's 21, is freaking out is because he's already OCD. And he played, he was a minor league hockey player up until last year when he suffered his umpteenth concussion. I told him last night, I said, Tristan, this won't get you, right? Like stupidity, right? You're a hold my beer scenario if anything's going to get you. But this won't get you. But germs, right? So he's freaked out. But the average 21-year-old's not. Why? Because if I was 21, I'd be thinking, I'm not so, this isn't going to kill us, right? That's the way we all live. We all thought we were bulletproof, right? Like we've all thought we were bulletproof. We were that age. In saying that now, the Florida governor's closed bars, clubs, beaches, you name it. It's closing everything. But when I hear people get mad, I'm like, what were you like at 21, right? Right? What were you like? Were you that way? Were you cautious all the time? No. They're kids. They're stupid. Well, they could be spreading it. Yeah, they could be. It's absolutely correct. They could be spreading it. They could be all catching it, spreading it, and they're all going to die. Or they're 21. They're living their lives. And this is the problem we're having right now is we're having a generational battle, too, because the younger generation thinks the older generation needs to be locked up in quarantine and not allowed out until this thing's gone so they can live their lives. And the older generation says, well, you know what? We fought wars. We've been through all of these things, and we get to decide what to do, and you should be taking precaution because you're putting everybody at risk. What they call us, the boomer solution or whatever it is, boomer remover, settle down. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. So Italy yesterday, because they're hit big time, and it's ugly. And we talked a bit about it earlier. Italy's come out. So as we do our comprehensive, stipend and no foreclosures and all of that stuff, and we talked about that, and this is what Italy's doing. Companies are barred from laying off workers. Rents have been reduced under Italy's economic survival plan for life at the European epicenter of the coronavirus, they're saying. Giuseppe Conte, the prime minister, has a 25 billion euro or $28 billion Italian model, he's calling, right? And there's all this stuff that he's put inside of there. But much like what Trump said yesterday, what Merkel parroted, this is wartime measures is what they're taking to fight this killer disease. So companies are prohibited from laying off workers for the next 2 months without justified objective reasons. Meaning, right, if you still have a business and you're open and you got somebody who's a creeper and he is doing something or committing a crime or something, that's justifiable. But if business is bad, apparently you can't do that. The self-employed seasonal workers, like tour guides, they're going to get $680 payment for the month of March to help cushion the pain of lost business. The government's also going to cover a €100 bonus for low-wage employees. Babysitters. Families are issued $600 or €600 voucher, about $700, to cover the expense of hiring babysitters to look after their kids. Rent and mortgage, right? That is done, at least for now, because they're living in a much different world, Italy, because of how fast it's spread and what's happened there.
It's coming. It's coming. It amazing how fast this happened to us. On February 20th, we were at a ski resort sort of joking about a few cases that had come to Lombardia. Now we have tens of thousands of people infected, thousands of people dead. For the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we have been locked into our homes in the north and now 10 days here in Rome. We didn't think this was coming. This just happened so quickly.
That's Clark Benton. He's a journalist in ABC, lives in Italy, and it's coming. And he talks about what's going on.
We now have to declare that we knowingly have the coronavirus, and we have to specifically state where we are going and why. If a policeman stops us, he confirms it, signs it, and so far there have been, just yesterday or Tuesday, 8,000 people have been cited for violations of this, which is why I think the authorities are really cracking down. They've now closed all the parks. They think they're going to stop jogging. They say that that the stores will close even earlier. They really want everyone to stay inside.
Yeah. And one of the big problems in a place like that, if you've ever been to Italy, is everybody is centrally located. They build up, not out. In certain areas of the country, there's nothing. It's a little bit more rural, remote. People aren't on top of each other. They're not, shoulder to shoulder 24/7. And I think that's a potential here. I think certain states may really go unscathed, while places like New York, potentially Chicago, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Seattle, because it's an up, not out scenario. And I don't even know if Los Angeles will be hit as hard as, say, San Francisco or Seattle. You're going to have real issues compared to a place like Phoenix. We're the 5th largest city in America, but I have news for you. We've built out, not up. You don't find many areas like that. We're not on top of each other. So I think you're going to find this may become more of a regional thing in certain cases. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Car Shield, you're looking to save yourself money. You were thinking to yourself, I'm going to go buy a car. And now, which is, by the way, a great time if you're going to be employed, which still about 80% of us are. It's awesome. Right? Because the rates are low. But for a lot of us out there, they're making the choice of, man, I got to do something. I want to protect myself from the scenario that if my car breaks down, because I don't have a warranty. Well, that's where Car Shield comes in. Car Shield is an affordable protection plan starting at $99 a month for any type of car. You got a more modern car with all the electronics, GPS and everything, maybe some a little bit older. You get yourself covered by Car Shield. What do you get? 24/7 roadside assistance, a rental car for free while your car's in the shop. The shop is the shop that you choose. Right? They get them paid directly. You pay a small deductible. It's that simple. Rates start again as low as $99. You call Car Shield. Say, hey, what do you got? 800-CAR-6000. Mention code Benson. Saves you 10%. You discuss the things that you're looking for, what you're looking to protect, your worries. They'll take care of you. CarShield.com. Use code Benson. Saves you 10%. Or call 800-CAR-6000. 800-CAR-6000. Code Benson saves you 10%. A deductible may apply. Chad Benson Show.
Plea deal this.
Mueller, arrest me.
Chad will trade you 2 perjury charges for 1 collusion and throw in a reduced charge of obstruction for free.
Yeah, I'd do that.
For just listening to The Chad Benson Show.
Today, I am going to read The Dinosaur Princess.
Stars including Amy Adams are coming up with other ways to entertain those in isolation, particularly kids. The 6-time Oscar nominee is reading stories to children on Instagram.
There once was a beautiful kingdom called Golia.
And she's partnering with famous friends for help, including Jennifer Garner. And it's all part of a fundraising drive for Save the Children and No Kid Hungry.
Yeah, a lot of stars are doing stuff. I saw yesterday Debbie Allen of Fame. Fame. Well, that sounds weird. But she was giving dance lessons on her. She did an Instagram class, right? Like, people are trying to find things. Think about this, right? If there's ever a time that we could go through something as insane and crazy as this, and I think about telling the kids when they get older, you guys had no idea, because kids don't really grasp the gravity of this, especially younger kids, But if there was ever a time, this is the time. We've got everything at our hands, just everything right there at our fingertips. We can watch TV, minus sports, right? But people are like, well, I'm going to run out of stuff to watch on Netflix. You will never run out of stuff to watch on Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime. You're not going to do it. If you run out of stuff to watch on Netflix, Amazon Prime, or whatnot, it doesn't matter at that point in time, right? We've long since jumped the shark. as a society. But if there was ever a time, plus, even though we're social distancing, we could be closer than ever before. Face to face kind of close. Like right there. We can't see each other in the same room, but you could be across the country, across the world, and I could still FaceTime you. I could Skype you. I could WhatsApp you. That's crazy. So if there was ever a time in our history or the world's history where we were going to be in a situation, this is maybe the best. Although Netflix came out and said, hey, everybody needs to slow it down a little bit because the internet could break. That would be the biggest fear. Right? Because if the internet went down, we're all screwed. That's going to become the Lord of the Flies. People are going to running around, hitting each other with sticks, not knowing what to do. They'd lose it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from every single one of you. Do you think we as a nation are overreacting to coronavirus? What say you? It's our poll question today. 52% say yes. 23% says no, I don't. And 24% say it's about right. Text the program 323-538-CHAD. You can tweet at us as well at Chad Benson Show. It is the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
You got to act as if you might be carrying the virus. Act as if you might be carrying the virus. I was supposed to visit my own parents who are in their late 70s this past weekend. I did not do that trip. My youngest daughter had her birthday yesterday. We canceled birthday party. It was not an easy discussion to have with an 11-year-old. She understands, but it's the right thing to do. We need to set that example.
Yeah, we do. But we also need to stop being terrified. If we come out the end of this and we look around and we say, wow, we're 90 days into this, and yes, we've had some infections, and unfortunately we've had some loss of life, and that's absolutely awful. But on top of all of that, what we're left with is a steaming pile of garbage that's going to take years to get out of. We have personal responsibility, and that's one thing that I think people need to understand. Personal responsibility. What does that mean? It means, you know what? We have all these great freedoms, right? All of these amazing freedoms that we have. You need to make right choices. And that includes for not just yourself, but, for others. And it's tough. Right? It is tough at times to make certain kinds of decisions that we know. Maybe I don't need to go out tonight, even though I should, right? I love grandma and grandpa and mom and dad, but they're in a certain age group, or that because of underlying factors, there's a certain risk that maybe I shouldn't expose them to anything. So, yeah, we need to do that, but we also don't need to act like everybody in the world has it. It's like it's cooties. It's just settle down. It's bad. It's horrible. It's all of these things. I'm still looking at the flu. Yesterday here in Arizona, we had a primary school child die from the flu. We have not lost anybody, thankfully, here because of the coronavirus, but that was swept under. And I think we need to, because we're just soaking in all of this information 24/7. We need to start looking for, okay, I need to take personal responsibility. I need to do all I can to stop community spread. I need to also, though, figure out how I'm getting on with my life in a way that I can continue to survive, which is important, right? I think we all agree with that. And I can do all I can in my part to support the businesses still open without trying to put, people in harm's way. But you get so much information and all of it's negative. Turn on the television and it's mostly negative news, from unemployment to all of these kind of things, that what's going to happen here and our respite that we used to have, which was turning to sports and stuff and entertainment, that's pretty much taken away. I get that, but we need to start focusing on the things that we can control using our common sense, and that includes looking at the facts and data around the globe as well as here, and knowing that at the end of the day, 99% to 99.2% of people are going to survive this. So we can take our minds off the fact that we think that this thing is this virus that's like the movie Outbreak, where, one person coughs and then everybody inside the theater dies. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. I love hearing from you, each and every single one of you. Here's something we also need to be doing.
We've seen a lot of funny posts on social media and even memes about the coronavirus pandemic. We do have to remember that people are very sick. People have died because of this. People are losing their jobs. So it's serious. It's not to make fun of. But humor can definitely be a way to release some anxieties.
Absolutely. Right? If you're stressed 24/7, first of all, anxiety and stress do what? Well, they compromise your immune system. So it makes you more apt that if there is something out there that you've come in contact with, that you may catch it. That could be the flu. That could be a cold. That could be anything. And for a lot of people out there, I tell everybody, some people, that's how they deal with things. Right? Some people are very inverted. Some people are outgoing. Some people have dark sense of humor. Some people, they like knock-knock jokes. But for some people out there, they deal with things like this in a much different way. I'm one of those people. I have a dark sense of humor. Oh, that's horrible. Yeah, I guess. But it's always been me. Even when I was a kid, right? I could find the funny in things that most people don't find funny. And I'll admit it. I'll throw it out there and admit it. I do. And Dr. Ashton's right there, And whether it's, take away the coronavirus stuff, search for your happy place. What's your happy place? Meditation? Going for a run? Right? Just gardening? Things like, search for your happy place. It's going to make life a little bit better when we can, and unplugging. And I'm telling you guys, the unplugging side of things is big. It is. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. You can, yesterday, with all of this going on, people are, Bernie going to pull out? He's not going to pull out. He had to push something at least a little bit.
We must make sure that companies that get bailouts are required to sell equity to the government and put workers on their board of directors.
Had to push something, right? Because he got boat raced the night before, which people, for those of you guys didn't know, there was primaries, and he's done. Right, he stopped his Facebook ads and stuff. He knows he's done. He's trying to advance his agenda, and it's tough when you talk about Medicare for all and all of these kind of things. And we're going to give you all this. When you look around, you see places where there is health care that's guaranteed, and they're getting thumped, and other places where health care is guaranteed, and they're doing well. And we're just in the beginning stages of this. But he had to push something, and what he's going to continue to do is drive home his agenda. And I don't know if there's any political bargaining power with him, right? I don't know if he thinks if I stay in this race long enough, I'm going to be able to, energize my group of people to follow Joe, but also have a say in what goes on in picking a vice president or the cabinet or a good part of his agenda for the first 100 days. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe. Maybe not. But he's not, and then he tweeted out, basically, and talked about this effing pandemic and global crisis because people keep asking, because other people out there covering him saying, hey, look, we're in the middle of a presidential race, bro. And you're still part of it, right? So you two are the last two standing. And, he got mad at, and he's got a fiery temper, but he still wants to push that. And when it comes to stocks, people are saying, well, if you're getting bailed out, here's the thing about this. The 2008 crisis was a bailout for the financial industry because they had overstretched themselves. They took risky loans. They loaned money they should never loan money to. There was a lot of stuff going on there. This is, hey, we're forcing industries to shut down. Oh. Well, if you're forcing people to shut down, then how can you say here is a bailout? And that's a tough thing because I've heard Mark Cuban come out and say that anybody who gets a bailout should not be allowed to buy back stock, which is, okay. I get that. But it's a really interesting way because, these financial markets, they're not real right now. They're getting crushed. And it's going to continue to happen more and more. Companies are going to need bailouts. The tourism company, they're telling everybody, well, you're going to have to close your hotels and you're going to have to close this. I mean, I drove by Wild Horse Pass, which is a huge casino out here, and it's weird to see on there, this facility's closed, right? Vegas is shut down. All of these places shut down, cruise ships, and they're going to need help. But they're being told, you got to do this, no more than this, no more than that. You're being told by the government to do something. So you would expect people to say, hey, and I talked to a small business owner yesterday and he says, with the stimulus that they're giving us in phase 2 that Trump signed, and with that, we're going to give you interest-free loans. And they're like, so you can keep your workers on. And she said to me, but I'm on the hook for that. In a never-ending world of uncertainty, before anything becomes normal again, if it does in the next 6 months to a year, I'll be on the hook for that. So I'll pay them, and I may not have a business, but I'll still owe money. That's hard if you're a small business owner to take something like that, knowing, hey, normalcy may not be around the corner, but you've now taken out loans that you're going to be on the hook for. That's tough. I don't care if it is free money as far as interest goes. That's a tough thing for a small business owner who is sitting there saying, I don't see when this thing's going to end. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Somebody said yesterday, Chad, why are you selling headphones in a situation like this? First of all, they're earbuds. And so secondly, because so many people are at home, they're going to be isolated. Right? And they're going to say to themselves, how many times are you going to say this to your kids or even to yourself? Turn that down. Do this, do that. That's why. Raycons are awesome. The noise isolating fit means also noise isolating from the crazy chaos that may be going on in your house. They're the best, most comfortable, sturdy. These E25s, 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, compact design, and again, that nice noise isolating fit. And half the price, you're already saving something. And yes, guess what? They're a small business as well trying to grow. And you would say, is this a luxury? It's a luxury that you should be having, especially if your kids are home. And then they'll try to steal them. These things are amazing. They're awesome. On top of being half the price of all those other ones out there, you can save 15% right now. Go to buyraycon.com/Chad. 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 Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, where we reach across the aisle and occasionally poke someone in the eye.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? There's a lot of things trending that aren't related to the coronavirus. And some are. Spring, by the way, first day of spring. Congratulations, spring. Came in yesterday here. Thunder, lightning, hail. It was pretty awesome. Utah, yesterday, got 2 million hits on searches about their earthquake. Defense Production Act, what is that? Well, Trump invoked that yesterday. What that means, essentially, is that businesses, large manufacturing, large corporations, your duty is to America first. Amanda Bynes is seeking treatment for mental health because she is got issues. And watching, we talk about, I don't care, people like that. And you know how tough it is, though, to, like if you have issues. Well, nowadays we all rush to the internet to talk about that. But watching your life or watching somebody's life unfold and their mental illness unfold that's not good. It isn't. Nick Foles traded. Football action, baby. Hydroxychloroquine or chloroquine, which is a malaria drug, was and continues to be trending. It's an old malaria drug that has been around since 1955. It also helps with, I think, lupus and rheumatoid arthritis. But Planaquinil or something like that, it's sold under. That's its brand name. It has been in tests for the last 2 months, and it shows that it's been doing quite well in killing the coronavirus. So that's awesome as they all rush. Because remember, a lot of these drugs that are out there, that have been out there for years, they may have effectiveness on certain things. That's why you see them testing certain things. They were trying an HIV drug cocktail that they thought might help, and it hasn't. But this Planaquinil or hydrochloroxide, it seems to be the one that is holding up, and it's getting more and more. Even yesterday, somebody asked the question at the press conference to Dr. Bricks about this, and she says, yes, we're looking into this. Head over to the world of Twitter, right? Quarantine life. Big time. Trending everywhere. Rio's Christ the Redeemer was completely lit up to show solidarity in the fight for the coronavirus. First day of spring, absolutely, is trending everywhere. And closing the beaches because a lot of, revelers out there in this world of craziness and me first and all of that stuff. You have spring break going on, and a lot of kids, and by kids I mean young adults, they kept up their I'm going to live my life the way I want to live it. And they did that by going to spring break in Florida. And now they're shutting down the beaches and the bars for at least 30 days. It's the unknown. I'm telling you guys, the unknown is the thing. We talk about altruism, which is something that people are trying to, push out there. Look what you're doing, how great it is.
We are asking people to take steps to protect others. 80% of people may have no symptoms or mild symptoms. That's a challenging thing here. Altruism is not the biggest motivator.
No, it's not. If you don't know what that is, essentially, it's you're more worried about the safety of others. And I think a lot of people are. But that only goes so far, especially because at the end of the day, you worry about who first? You, right? Everybody worries about themselves first. And by themselves, I mean their family, their friends, their well-being, their money. That's what people worry about first. Altruism sounds great when we're all in this together, but we're not always all sure everybody's in this together. That's the other thing. You look around in certain states and cities, people are living their lives, and then you're sitting here going, why am I stuck in the house? That's frustrating. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The president did make an announcement that there will be no foreclosures or evictions, that HUD will enforce that through the end of April. So people who are running behind on those payments, if they don't have the money because of the fact that they've lost a job or are weathering it through this storm, will be protected.
That's what people want, right? Like, you know, I said, and I've been saying, $1,000 sounds great, right? You know? Oh, he's going to give us $1,000. In a great economy, it sounds great. If you're losing your business, your job, your hours, you're looking around and you're saying to yourself, okay, you're going to give me $1,000. I can't pay rent. Not going to be able to pay my mortgage. I think credit card companies are going to be looking at some stuff as well and what they're going to be able to do. I think on top of that, you're going to be looking at car companies as far as repos and things like that, where people are going to be falling behind in the coming. And let me tell you something. It's not this week. It's 6-8 weeks down the line is when this issue is going to be real, right? 6-8 weeks down the line is when is when people are going to be feeling it, because there are some people out there who have put, you know, I've talked to a lot of people, you know, you've got enough to live off for a month or so. So I think the real issue when it comes to evictions and you know, repos and stuff like that are going to be 6-8 weeks from now, when people are going to find out, okay, now I've gone through everything. Now what? So that's real, you know, but if we're going to all be in this together, and that's part of the issue is not everybody feels like they're all in it together, right? Because it's because each state and each city is doing their own thing, right? Phoenix is doing something different than their next door neighbors, right? Florida is doing something altogether different. Texas is as well. New York, San Francisco, hunker down, everybody. Stay indoors. Everybody seems to be doing something else. You know, people looking around. I think part of the reason people are pissed about all those kids are like, man, they're out there having fun at the beach and living life like it's no big deal. And then we're stuck here. But know this, they're going to be getting out of college in a few years with debt and an economy potentially that is destroyed. Drink up, kids. Drink up. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Or you've got other things to worry about. Case in point, OJ.
Well, we've got to finish our round of golf today. They said they were going to close the golf course at one point, but they let everybody finish their round of golf, and now they're saying they're going to be closed. You don't really get that close to one another on a golf course, and I think for some of the older guys that golf is their only exercise, I think it's going to hurt them if you start closing all the golf courses. I'm just saying, and if you do close them, you better open up some insane asylum. Get me a bed, because I know if I can't play golf for the next month, I would go crazy.
The juice. The juice is loose. Do you think the coronavirus got together and said, look, all right, there's a couple places you can't go. So you guys are going to America. They're like, yeah, we're going to America. Like, all right, here's what you guys. Don't go to Florida. Florida's crazy. There's a bunch of crazy people there. You just don't want to go to Florida. And like, why is that? Like, you ever heard of Florida, man? Oh, yeah. Yeah, don't go there. Then stay away from O.J. Simpson. Just stay away from him. Oh, man, I'm going to go crazy. The juice is loose. One of the things, though, that we're missing in this time is we don't have things that we normally would turn to in a crisis to alleviate, to take our minds off. So we're inundated with information 24/7. And there's nothing else anymore that's going on. The other night we had a primary. Nobody cared. Nobody did. Some people went out and voted, but the reality was nobody seems to care. Everything is affected by it in so many ways, including the likes of the National Basketball Association. This is Mr. Silver, who is Adam Silver is the guy that runs everything, talking about, you ever coming back?
One of the things that we're very focused on at the league office and together with our teams is what are the conditions we would need to restart. And I'd say I'm looking at three different things here. One is, of course, when can we restart and operate as we've known it 19,000 fans in buildings, and sort of that's one set of criteria. Then option two is, how would should we consider restarting without fans, and what would that mean? Because presumably, if you had a group of players and staff around them, and you could test them and you could follow some protocol, doctors, health officials may say it's safe to play. So that's sort of second set of circumstances.
Yeah, so they're hearing all kinds of stuff. I am hearing maybe a postponement for the rest of the year and starting next season on Christmas Day. Right? And if you're and again, I think we don't realize what we've had until it's gone kind of scenario, where even now, I mean, how good would it be, whether you like baseball or not, to just to watch a baseball game? It would be great. Right? How good to watch a basketball game today? That's why the NFL offseason is going, and, they have what they call tampering periods where you can go and talk to other players from other teams, and that's going on in free agency because people are craving something that is, well, no longer just, that's not super important, because it becomes important because it is part of our mental health. So I don't know when it's coming back, but it will. So baseball's talking June. Baseball's in a much different situation. Baseball can shorten their season to 140 games, and they can always play doubleheaders. Which in basketball, you're not going to get that, right? They're not going to play a doubleheader. For them is a game tonight and a game tomorrow. Baseball's like, we're going to play a game now, and then we're going to break for a half an hour, and then we'll play another game, right? Football, they're saying that everything is continuing to go forward as is, minus, even though the free agents are being signed, you can't, like, one of the things that happens when you're a free agent, you sign. So let's say Tom Brady signed for the Bucs. Well, Tom Brady can't fly to Florida. I guess he could in his private jet, but they're telling everybody, no, we're not going to bring you here. We need to do physicals. We need to do all those things, not because we think you have the coronavirus, because we want to make sure that, oh, by the way, you didn't tell us that your shoulder was completely destroyed. So there's a lot of those things out there that we look back on and thought, man, what I wouldn't give to have a night full of basketball or March Madness. I mean, March Madness, that is just insane. And let's not even forget the Olympics, which there's just no way I see that happening. I mean, at all. And I said months ago, 3 weeks ago, this ain't happening. 4 weeks ago, this isn't going to happen. European Soccer Championships, I don't know when the European Soccer Leagues will open up. Could be several months, may not be. I mean, everybody's talking it's going to be 12 months to 18 months before our lives can go back to normal. I don't believe it's going to be that long, because I think Americans in particular, at some point in time, every one of us has a breaking point. That altruistic kind of, hey, we're doing this for the greater good of everybody, that breaking point will come. When is that? And I think the other thing, and I continue to say this, when we deal with something like this, as big as this is, and understand this is as big as when you look at 9/11 and you saw, that day was a massive shock. It reverberated for and continues to do for decades. We're continuing to fight wars and do those kind of things. That was so big. This will have that kind of ramifications, maybe multiplied, because of the economy being completely destroyed potentially for the next who knows how long, but also for the fact that we're all in this together. New York City was hit, right? Pennsylvania, D.C. with the Pentagon. But when you step back, that was, we all had a day or two where everything was shut down, and then life slowly got back to normal quickly. And we realized we had to take on a certain enemy. And what we were going to be doing is different. Why is it different? Because it's never ending. It's an open-ended, when is this going to end? The unity's there, but I think unity only lasts so long until you hit your breaking point. And Your breaking point may be you lost your business. You've been in the house for 3 weeks. Everybody has their point, especially when there is no end in sight.
The bottom line is I've been on the Hill all day. I haven't seen this kind of spirit since 9/11. Everybody's looking at each other as a ally, not a foe. People in America, you begin to see the best of the country. But here's the problem. 80% of the workforce is going to be impacted by the containment policies. The money we're spending to deal with health care is going to pale in comparison with the money we spend to stabilize the economy.
And that is real. Lindsey Graham, again, drives me crazy most of the time. But he's absolutely right about that. I was having a discussion last night. Are we willing to mortgage our future for the present? Meaning, are we willing to throw it all away for right now? Is that a possibility? That we look back in 6 weeks, 6 months and says, that was overblown. We've put ourselves in a hole where we may not get out of it for 12, 18, 24 months, and we have mortgaged our future that our kids are going to be paying off of. And even if you don't go to college, you're going to be saddled with debt nationwide that is huge. Is that a possibility? It absolutely is. I would like to think that we're going to bounce back much because I do think we have a foundation that's solid. But that foundation will eventually crumble the longer we go. And with the situation that we're in where it seems to be no answer to when this may end, and everybody's best guess is, 3 months to 18 months. Imagine what 18 months looks like. And we're beginning asking ourselves as we come out the other side, was it worth it? Because people are going to start questioning that now, sooner rather than later. Is this all worth it for something that is a little bit more dangerous than the flu? People will ask that question. I think every one of us quietly is probably asking ourselves that question. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You're looking to save money right now. Everybody is. Everybody's looking for ways to save money. Homeowners insurance, car insurance, huge places to save money. There's places you can cut money and you'd be surprised. Gabi.com, Gabi.com is the insurance shopping comparison engine. Takes the pain out of shopping for insurance. It's a 2-minute, put your information in with your current accounts. You just type them both in there. That's all you need to do, and away it goes. Apples to apples, 40 of the top insurance providers like Progressive, Nationwide, and Travelers. I did it, saved money on car insurance. My homeowner's insurance was perfect. And if there's nowhere for you to save money, then you go, well, you know what? There's nothing else I can do. I did it all because people are going to be looking to save money. Gabby's customers on average save about $825 per year. How good would that be? You say, well, it is everything, maybe counting more than you realize. Gabby's free to use. They're never going to sell your info, so no annoying spam or crazy robocalls. Takes 2 minutes right now. See how much you can save on your car and homeowners insurance for free. Go to Gabi.com/Benson, Gabi.com/Benson, Gabi.com/Benson. Chad Benson Show.
Take it anymore! Well, get over it. It's time to forge a new path with your very own political cartographer, Chad.
It's something we haven't seen at gas stations for decades.
A station in London, Kentucky, lowering its price to 99 cents a gallon.
Patrick DeHaan, senior petroleum analyst with GasBuddy.com, says gas prices are down because demand is down.
We continue to see more and more lockdowns. That's happening globally as well. So this is all story about a tremendous drop-off in overall oil demand.
He says the gas and oil industries are in uncharted waters.
It is a barometer of the economy, and that's why we shouldn't necessarily cheer low prices.
Yeah. Energy prices also hurt the marketplace. So while people are excited, right, like, oh my God, I can't believe how cheap it's going to be, there's also the understanding that oil prices being down, that's going to hurt a certain sector of the economy. And you factor all of that in. You've got Saudi Arabia and Russia currently playing a game of chicken also when it comes to oil. So there's a lot that goes into it. So we'll see what happens. But I mean, let's just for a second though, if we're going to allow ourselves to just go, oh my God, this is just so, can we just say, isn't it nice though to see gas prices come down? I mean, isn't it? Isn't it nice in places where like I paid like $2.09 yesterday for gas. I know by probably Monday, if it stays like this, I'll be sitting in a situation where I'm going to pay $1.99 or so. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. You can text the program as well. Disinformation is huge. And I posted a question. It's a poll about, do you think that we as a nation are having an overreaction to the coronavirus? And 52% say yes, 23% say no, 24% say it's about right. Somebody tweeted at me, do you see what's going on in Italy? And I'm going to explain this to you in the gentlest terms. What's currently taking place in Italy is awful. I think we can all agree with that when you see the amount of death, right? They're sitting anywhere between 8 and 10%, although that number's coming down because they're testing more and more and more people. The average age of somebody who's passed away in Italy is 71 years old. 48.5% of those people have 3 life-threatening underlying conditions. 25% have 2. 24% have at least 1. And it's less than 1% for what we would consider a normal, healthy adult. So, yes, this is an ugly, bad situation in Italy, but they're very top-heavy in age. They're the second oldest population in Europe. Also, some of the heaviest smokers in Europe. In a respiratory disease, what ends up happening? Smoking is not good. So there's a lot of factors to go into it. You look at other places, South Korea, Norway, Switzerland. I mean, their death rate is well under 1. And I think as this thing spreads out and more people test positive, we'll start to get a handle and find out that this isn't going to be 2, 3, 4%. It's going to be less than 1%, still more than the flu. Yet at the same time, that's where I think a lot of people are going to say, did we overreact? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
We're fighting 2 things right now. We're fighting the virus and we're fighting fear and panic. The fear and the panic is actually a worse problem, in my opinion, than the virus right now. We know what we have to do on the virus. It's going to be hard. It's going to be disruptive, but we know what we have to do there. The fear and the panic can actually get out of control more than the virus can.
Yeah, that's so true. My God, that's so true. People understand that? I don't think people understand that. The fear that's spreading through everybody that is going viral is crazy. And the reason for that is disinformation and no information. Right? Disinformation and no information are terrifying to people. The unknown, what will happen? Don't know. How long is it going to last? Couldn't tell you. Will they ever find any kind of vaccine for it? I don't know. Scares people. Cuomo's been echoing that for days now. Everybody, panic is not going to help in a situation like this, right? It's just not. I get it. New York's well over 10,000 cases now. People keep pointing to Italy. This is what we're going to become. Why does everybody point to the worst case scenario? Because that's the way we're wired. It's a fight or flight response. Some of us, we're able to take this thing head on in a different way than other people. We talked about this yesterday. So I do my show nationally, and then I have another show that I do. And my on-air partner, Larry, and we were chatting about this, that we've worked with hosts in the past and that are great people. But they're not built for this. Some people aren't built for certain situations, right? I read an article yesterday about scientists saying, this is what Darwin was talking about. And it sounds awful because you're dealing with numbers rather than people. But when you deal with numbers, it's like we're throwing out $1 trillion. Well, the average person, even a billionaire, cannot fathom what that looks like. We're throwing it around like it's no big deal. So when you're dealing with numbers, though, you don't really, it's not real. But these are individuals. But when I was reading this thing that they were talking about with Darwin, essentially saying, it's kind of what scientists and Darwin were talking about. There's a certain herd mentality of survival of the fittest that's real. And it sounds awful because you're saying, oh my God, because in this day and age, you can't say something like that without people going and overreacting to the point of ridiculousness. And it was on ITV, which is a British website, but also one of their big TV stations over there. And they talked about the fact that, subspecies play an important role in evolution, right? There's a group of animals that can interbreed freely amongst themselves. Some species contain subspecies, populations within species, right? But guess what? As humans, we don't have that. But it's just a very interesting thing. Am I saying we should throw everybody out to the wolves? No, it's not what we do. Because unlike animals, we have certain feelings that are just, that's the human side of us. Somebody said, Chad, what would you do? What's the best way to go about doing this? I said, honestly, if you ask me, the best way of going about doing this is mass exposure gives the virus nowhere to go. It just doesn't. Because eventually we'll build up a herd immunity and the virus is going to die. It's going to run its course. Right? And that sounds awful, but what about all the people that are going to die? Yeah, that's horrible. But all the people dying and destroying our economy and potentially putting our nation at risk for other things, that's tough. That's a tough thing. Americans have breaking points. I don't know what the breaking point is for every American. And while the nation and everybody is like, we're pulling together, it's wartime, right? And everybody hammered Trump yesterday for saying it's wartime. Cuomo just came out today, said he's wartime. We've got to act like it is. Merkel came out, said it's wartime. The Italian Prime Minister, Conte, came out, said it's a wartime. Everybody is taking it because it's the effort that it has to be. But ask yourself, at the end of this, if the destruction we do is worse and we don't really stop the spread, because now it's not stop. It's funny, simply that we're going to stop. It's not about stopping the spread. I want you guys to understand, it's not about stopping the spread. It's about limiting mass rushes to hospitals and emergency rooms. It's about taking the spread, instead of it going with a huge spike, just keeping it out there in a steady pattern so we can handle it. I think too often people think it's about stopping the spread. The spread is going to come. It's too late. Community spread's there. We can shelter in our house for as long as we want, but it's still going to be community spread. And if this thing's seasonal, it could come back next year. Things to think about. It's about mitigating the damage early and making that damage that still may be there longer. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Social distancing. That's the thing everybody's talking about. Social distancing. Yeah, that's true. But what about testing? That's also something that people are asking, like, who gets tested? Why do they get tested? Where do you go over here? How does this person get tested? That's a big thing, right? Look, the sick people, we get, you're sick. You may have the flu. You may have this. We kind of know what to do with the flu. This, we're throwing everything against the wall, see what sticks. Maybe it sticks. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But you're already sick. If we're worried about the spread, then what we should be worried about are the people that are showing no symptoms. And 80% of these people all over the globe are asymptomatic, meaning they show no symptoms or mild symptoms that can be confused as a cold or allergies or whatever. So at that point in time, those are the ones, because they're out and about doing stuff still, that are part of that spread. And the question is, like, who gets tested? How do we get tested? Where do we go?
People who can stay at home and are doing really well, they have a cough, they have a runny nose, they're uncomfortable. And I would hate not to know what I had. Those people actually probably will do fine and should stay at home and not be tested.
There you go. Wait, what? No, those people should. Like, let's be real. If you're sick today, but you don't feel like you're dying, right? You got a headache, little fever. You say, I'm going to quarantine myself for a couple weeks, get this thing through my body. I shouldn't be out. Whatever it is, it's happening. And I can call my doctor through telemedicine. I could sort that out and we could talk to them and see what their best course of action is and go from there. So you probably shouldn't be tested, because if you're not feeling like you're going to die or it's immediate, like you need to be hospitalized. But I continue to say it's the average person who's out doing things on a day-to-day basis and still involved in day-to-day life that are the ones who are the spreaders, right? So that's why I keep telling everybody, maybe the herd mentality of letting this thing run its course may be the best, because if we can't stop it, and they're still talking about, even with all of this, you see experts say, could be 60 million people, that's huge, right? So even with all this, that still could be that way. Well, wouldn't we like to have the immunity to build it up and say to ourselves potentially, and again, just throwing us out there, everybody's asking different things. You live your life, I live my life, of the being able to, as a herd, as a group of people in mass, not give a place for the virus to go because we've built up that herd immunity.
Because this infection hits our healthcare workforce so hard and our first responders in emergencies, testing those people makes a lot of sense as well. And then people living in congregate settings where there's a risk of transmission to other people. So long-term care facilities, psychiatric hospitals.
Yeah. There's a lot. Prisons, all of these things that are out there. These are all things that governments, local, statewide, and federally are trying to come to grips with. But you're telling people at the front of the line that you guys keep doing what you're doing, but you're coming in contact every single day with people. It just goes to show you that at some point in time, you're going to come in contact with it, and you're probably going to get it, and you'll build up that herd immunity. But it's going to take time, and through that's why they're saying no elective surgery, don't go to the dentist. They want to shut all of that stuff down. And then the thing that we're not talking about is the 40% to 50% of hospital beds that are occupied on a day-to-day basis by people who are there for cancer treatments, people who've had to have surgery, heart ailments, all of those kind of things, the risk that's going on to them. So it's this moving forward. That's what one of the floating hospitals that Trump rolled out yesterday, that's not going to be for people who are testing positive for coronavirus. That's going to be for people to move into who are sick with other ailments. And that coronavirus will be something that could kill them. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. So many of you still going to work, still doing your things. A lot of you out there, small business owners, 700,000 small businesses already use Stamps.com. It's now that you join Stamps.com. Anything you can do at the post office, guess what? You can do at Stamps.com. On-demand postage means you can skip that trip to the post office, all the while saving money. I mean, it's the entire post office right at your fingertips. That's what Stamps.com does. Doesn't matter what you're doing. 24/7 for any letter, any package, any class of mail, anywhere you want to send it. Once your mail's ready, hand it to your mail carrier, drop it off in the box, away it goes. Stamps.com has you covered. And on top of that, you're saving money. With Stamps.com, you get 5 cents off every first-class stamp, 40% off shipping rates. That's huge. Not to mention, it's a fraction of the cost for those expensive postage meters. And there's no long-term commitments or any equipment to lease. It's that great. Again, 700,000 small businesses use Stamps.com. Now it's your chance to make this a no-brainer. Right now, for my listeners, you get a 4-week trial. It's a special offer. Plus, free postage and a digital scale without any long-term commitments. Just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage, type in Chad. That's Stamps.com, enter Chad, Stamps.com, Chad Benson Show.
No need to fear. We promise we won't give you a noogie and make you cry Russia, Russia, Russia.
Who is the fearless leader? Fui. Fui, fui, and double fui.
What is your language? This is a family show, remember?
Fui to families too.
Nostrovia. This is Chad Benson.
So today, I'm suspending my presidential campaign and offering my full support to Vice President Joe Biden in his quest to bring our country together.
Tulsi Gabbard out of the presidential race. Many of you are going, who? And some of you are going, she was still in it? So yes, Tulsi Gabbard out of the presidential race and throwing her support behind Uncle Joe, because there is a presidential race still going on. I think the question is for a lot of people is this going to be one of those situations where we are going to vote from home? We don't know what's going to happen. You know, Trump the other day said July, August, hopefully July, August, somewhere around there. What happens to the DNC and the RNC and their conventions? When do they call that? Right? Is it 60 days out? They say we can't do this. So you got July and August, mid-July for the DNC, late August for the RNC. Do they decide, nah, we can't do that now? So, because, you know, you see people canceling their stuff 6 weeks, 8 weeks out. When's the Olympics pull their plug? And do they, you know, think about this if you're an athlete too. Those people who are in a situation where they've qualified for this year's Olympic, and they say, maybe they say we're moving it out a year. A year is a long way. You know, first of all, again, we don't know what's going to happen. Secondly, what's it look like, right? What if you get injured? What if, you know, there's so many things that go into that too. And you say, well, it's a small thing. It is, you know, like everything else. It is until it affects you. So this will be very, 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 very interesting to see when they pull the plug. But when it comes to voting, which we will do, is it going to be all mail-in votes? And are they going to give us a few days to do it? Are they going to break up certain areas where maybe you can vote, you know, at home? Not at home, but like you can vote, you know, so in your home state you can go vote, but maybe they give you 3 or 4 days so they can try to stop the crowds if this thing's still out there. There's a lot that goes into this. In the coming, you know, weeks or months, you know, who knows what's going to be canceled. And there's always that unknown factor of what if it just gets to a point where we've got 50, 60, 100,000, then it starts to slowly just disappear and dissipate, and then over a 4 or 6 week period, it's gone. That's always something that, I try to look at all sides of all angles. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Last night I was flipping around. I was like, people are like, what, because I get home, I want to watch Gunsmoke. That's my always go-to relaxation thing. Either that or horrible martial arts movies that I love from the 60s and 70s, the Shaw Brothers produced. But underneath Gunsmoke, there was the Jim Baker show, and I just turned it on, and I just see her, and I just think to myself, oh, God. I don't know who she is, but she's... Oh, God. She's awful. Oh, God. Yeah. Oh, give us some more.
That's so good.
323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Unplugging from a screen or any news reports is really important. Meditation has been shown to help sleep massively, and getting a little bit of physical activity, even if it's just 20 minutes, is really, really important.
Dr. Ashton right there. And I'm telling you guys, physical activity is great. You can work out in your house. Look, as we talk about workout, we're not all quarantined, right? Going for a walk around the block, you're going to be fine. Going for a run, you're going to be fine. You're going to work today. You don't have a gym, you want to do something, go for a jog. The endorphins kick in. It can't be all negative. And we get so many people who call into the station here, right? I don't take a ton of phone calls, never been my thing, right? That's not what I do. I get a lot of tweets, I get a lot of text messages. That's how I prefer to do it, because you don't have to wait on hold. And because we move so fast through so many things. But I was talking yesterday to the lady at the front desk, Patty, great lady, nice lady. We have normally 120 people in the building. We're not allowed to have over 20 right now. And she's one of them. And she says, people are calling in and they're worried and they're terrified. And especially an older generation who's maybe not web savvy, but they're sitting around watching TV all day and they're inundated by Sanjay Gupta and everybody else. Oh, the world's coming to an end. Pretend as everybody's got it. And you need to unplug, man. Go for a walk. Go for a run. Right? Do something rather than stew. Right? And it's hard because during 9/11 and other crises, what have we always had? We've had an outlet. What's the outlet? Sports, movies, concerts, comedy. We've had outlets that we were able to go to. We don't have that now. We don't. All we get all day long is negative news. Not everything's negative, people. In fact, some things are positive. Right? How about this? U.S. researchers delivered the first COVID vaccine to volunteers. We'll talk about that in a minute. Distilleries across the countries are all figuring out how to make hand sanitizers. And yesterday with what Trump did, basically giving us wartime powers when it comes to going to business, right? Going to businesses and saying, hey, you guys, we may need your materials. We may need your manufacturing. Understand that, right? That's awesome. Air pollution, right? Is this changing the way we live? Have you seen China and the air pollution? What's happening over there? Same thing in Italy. They're talking about this is how fast the earth repairs itself. And this is very interesting. Waterways and canals of Venice are cleaner than they've ever been. Crystal clear. That's interesting. Antibodies already discovered. New infections are down in North Korea, China. In fact, more people are coming out of it than going into it. It's Uber Eats came out this week and said, look, we'll deliver food to 100,000 restaurants by waiving delivery fees. There's positive stuff out there. And then let's talk about the fact that 9 months from now, we're going to have how many babies? Dr. Oz said that, you're home, might get on each other's nerves, but there's other things that you can do. So let's just take a deep breath, right? Because I think we need to remind ourselves that we're going to get through this and we're going to bounce back. And Trump's right about that. But we need some positive stuff too, right? I tell everybody, go online. Don't go down a rabbit hole of this, and this. First of all, information breaks so fast that the information you have right this second is going to be completely wrong, right? Or it's going to be contradicted by somebody over here. Nobody presents the same way. 80% of people are asymptomatic. That much we do know. But, is this thing going to peter out come June and July? Because what they're showing and more now is humidity and hot weather are crushing this thing in a lot of places. It's a possibility, right? I live in Arizona. Like, normally we'd be like, oh my God, it's going to be 110. Now we're like, I hope it's 110 tomorrow. We'll get out of this. Look for the positive. Unemployment, ugly? Absolutely it is right now. Getting worse? Oh yeah, you betcha. And it's going to get worse. But then there's opportunities.
Kroger says with the coronavirus business boom and many people out of work, it's hiring 10,000 additional workers across their retail stores, manufacturing plants, and distribution centers. And the grocery chain will pay any part-time and full-time employees for 14 days who are forced to quarantine at home or have been diagnosed with coronavirus. Kroger says its average wage is $15 an hour, not counting a comprehensive benefits package.
Yeah, that's great, right? 100,000 people. If you're a truck driver right now, you're doing all you can to try to keep up with demand. I mean, it's so there are opportunities out there for people who are frustrated and struggling. And look, we're all in it together, right? Except for some people, right? Some people aren't as in it together as the rest of us.
If I get corona, I get corona. At the end of the day, I'm not going to let it stop me from partying. We've been waiting for Miami spring break for a while, about 2 months. We're just out here having a good time. Whatever happens, happens.
Like, it's really messing up with my spring break. What is there to do here other than go to the bars or the beach, and they're closing all of it? And I think they're blowing it way out of proportion.
We need a refund. This virus ain't that serious. More serious things out there like hunger and poverty, and we need to address that.
Yeah, I mean, we planned this a long time ago. I just turned 21 this year, so I'm here to party, so it's kind of disappointing. But we're just making the most of it, trying to get drunk before everything closes.
We're just living for the moment. We're just going to do what happens when it happens. When stuff closes, we're going to do it when it closes. But besides that, we're just trying to have the best trip we can.
Yeah. People are like, I can't believe those kids are doing that. Now, the governor has come out and he's shut down everything now after seeing that. Freaking out. Oh, my God, I can't believe that happened. Well, when you were 21, right, you thought you were bulletproof, too. People are like, they're so stupid. They're destroying everything. They're not listening. Nobody listens at 21. And the reason my brother, who's 21, is freaking out is because he's already OCD. And he played, he was a minor league hockey player up until last year when he suffered his umpteenth concussion. I told him last night, I said, Tristan, this won't get you, right? Like stupidity, right? You're a hold my beer scenario if anything's going to get you, but this won't get you. But germs, right? So he's freaked out, but the average 21-year-old's not. Why? Because if I was 21, I'd be thinking, I'm not so, this isn't going to kill us, right? That's the way we all live. We all thought we were bulletproof, right? Like we've all thought we were bulletproof. We were that age. In saying that now, the Florida governor has closed bars, clubs, beaches, you name it. It's closing everything. But But when I hear people get mad, I'm like, what were you like at 21? Right? What were you like? Were you that way? Were you cautious all the time? No. They're kids. They're stupid. Well, they could be spreading it. Yeah, they could be. It's absolutely correct. They could be spreading it. They could be all catching it, spreading it, and they're all going to die. Or they're 21, they're living their lives. And this is the problem we're having right now, is we're having a generational battle, too. Because the younger generation thinks the older generation needs to be locked up in quarantine and not allowed out until this thing's gone so they can live their lives. And the older generation says, well, you know what? We fought wars. We've been through all of these things, and we get to decide what to do, and you should be taking precaution because you're putting everybody at risk. What they call us, the boomer solution or whatever it is, boomer remover, settle down. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. So Italy yesterday, because they're hit big time. Big time. And it's ugly, and we talked a bit about it earlier. Italy's come out. So as we do our comprehensive, stipend and, no foreclosures and all of that stuff, and we talked about that, and this is what Italy's doing. Companies are barred from laying off workers. Rents have been reduced under Italy's economic survival plan for life at the European epicenter of the coronavirus, they're saying. Giuseppe Conte, the prime minister, has a 25 billion euro or $28 billion Italian model, he's calling, right? And there's all this stuff that he's put inside of there. But much like what Trump said yesterday, what Merkel parroted, this is wartime measures is what they're taking to fight this killer disease. So companies are prohibited from laying off workers for the next 2 months without justified objective reasons, meaning, right, if you still have a business and you're open and you got somebody who's a creeper and he is doing something or committing a crime or something, that's justifiable. But if business is bad, apparently you can't do that. The self-employed seasonal workers, like tour guides, they're going to get $680 payment for the month of March to help cushion the pain of lost business. The government's also going to cover a €100 bonus for low-wage employees. Babysitters. Families are issued $600 or €600 voucher, about $700, to cover the expense of hiring babysitters to look after their kids. Rent and mortgage, right? That is done, at least for now, because they're living in a much different world, Italy, because of how fast it's spread and what's happened there.
It's coming. It's coming. It amazing how fast this happened to us. On February 20th, we were at a ski resort sort of joking about a few cases that had come to Lombardia. Now we have tens of thousands of people infected, thousands of people dead. For the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we have been locked into our homes in the north and now 10 days here in Rome. We didn't think this was coming. This just happened so quickly.
That's Clark Benton. He's a journalist in ABC, lives in Italy, and it's coming. And he talks about what's going on.
We now have to declare that we don't knowingly have the coronavirus, and we have to specifically state where we are going and why. If a policeman stops us, he confirms it, signs it, and so far there have been, just yesterday or Tuesday, 8,000 people have been cited for violations of this, which is why I think the authorities are really cracking down. They've now closed all the parks. They think they're going to stop jogging. They say that that the stores will close even earlier. They really want everyone to stay inside.
Yeah, and one of the big problems in a place like that, if you've ever been to Italy, is everybody is centrally located. They build up, not out. In certain areas of the country, there's nothing. It's a little bit more rural, remote. People aren't on top of each other. They're not, shoulder to shoulder 24/7. And I think that's a potential here. I think certain states may really go unscathed, while places like New York, potentially Chicago, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Seattle, because it's an up, not out scenario. And I don't even know if Los Angeles will be hit as hard as, say, San Francisco or Seattle. You're going to have real issues compared to a place like Phoenix. We're the fifth largest city in America, but I have news for you. We've built out, not up. You don't find many areas like that. We're not on top of each other. So I think you're going to find this may become more of a regional thing. in certain cases. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Car Shield, you're looking to save yourself money. You were thinking to yourself, I'm going to go buy a car. And now, well, which is, by the way, a great time if you're going to be employed, which still about 80% of us are. It's awesome, right? Because the rates are low. But for a lot of us out there, they're making the choice of, man, I got to do something. I want to protect myself from the scenario that if my car breaks down, because I don't have a warranty. Well, that's what Car Shield comes in. Car Shield is an affordable protection plan starting at $99 a month for any type of car. You got a more modern car with all the electronics, GPS and everything, maybe some a little bit older. You get yourself covered by Car Shield. What do you get? 24/7 roadside assistance, a rental car for free while your car's in the shop. The shop is the shop that you choose, right? They get them paid directly. You pay a small deductible. It's that simple. Rates start again as low as $99. You call Car Shield, say, hey, what do you got? 800-CAR-6000. Mention code Benson, saves you 10%. You discuss the things that you're looking for, what you're looking to protect, your worries. They'll take care of you. CarShield.com. Use code Benson. Saves you 10%. Or call 800-CAR-6000. 800-CAR-6000. Code Benson saves you 10%. A deductible may apply. Chad Benson Show.
Take a fake news break. Check out the really important news of the day at our website, ChadBensonShow.com. Once there, click on Chad's free podcast and get real. The Chad Benson Show, where truth and the American way live.
And Trump came out today, and Trump delivered more of what we're doing to fight this thing, and the red tape and how we're getting around that. For the FDA, and we talked about it earlier. Some of these drugs, these malaria drugs, including hydroxychloroquine, which has been around since 1955 and get pretty much any pharmacy. You've got to be prescribed. It's an old malaria drug. Planoquinil as well, and a few other ones that they're looking at. Chloroquine, hydroxychloroquine, and a few other malaria drugs they've tried. They're trying this out because these French scientists have said, look, this is what we've done in South Korea. This is what we've done in over here in China. And it seems to essentially eradicate somewhat of the virus, right? Brings the viral count of this thing down tremendous. And it's helping like you couldn't believe. That's happened for years and years. Other medicine that, people, hey, we designed this for this. It didn't work, but oddly enough, it works great for these. And desperate times call for desperate measures. And I would say these qualify as desperate times. And Trump is saying, the great work for the FDA, allowing us to get out there and try stuff that would normally take, 12 months to 24 months before we even think about testing it on somebody. But when you're desperate, you do desperate things. And I think these are desperate measures. So giving people the opportunity to try certain things, even vaccines or other things to fight this thing, is what people are willing to do. And I say at some point in time, this is the desperation, this is the Hail Mary we may need. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. You can text the program as well. Everybody's looking to save money, right? We're not quite sure where the economy's going. You're still probably going to have your house. You're still probably going to have your car. And you're saying to yourself, man, am I paying enough? Am I paying too much? Do I have everything I need? Gabi.com. GABI.com. The insurance shopping comparison engine. What it does is you go on there. It takes about 2 minutes. You link your current account information. And 2 minutes later, boom, what do you get? Apples to apples comparison with 40 of the top insurers. Progressive, Nationwide, and Travelers. On average, their customers, Gabi, $825 per year they save. It's incredible. Gabi's free to use. They're never going to sell your info. No annoying spam or robocalls. What do you need to do? Well, you take action. How? By going to Gabi.com right now, and 2 minutes later, find out how much you're going to save. GABI.com/Benson. 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 At Chad Benson Show, Twitter. ChadBenson. Got through another day. It's good. some smiles on our faces. Let's all be good to each other out there in these stressful times. Find humor where you can. Have a good rest of your day and evening. And we'll do it again tomorrow. Ooh, I see Friday. Night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.